Good morning, Easton, and welcome to the Rabbi's Roundtable. I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman, Rabbi at Temple B'nai Israel, and we are coming to you from the studios of MCTV in the basement of the Avalon Theater. Interesting show this morning. Always delighted to have my first guest, Derek White. Derek is the executive director of the YMCA of Easton on Peach Blossom. Many of you know it because I see many of you there.
Yeah.
And always glad to have you at the Rabbi's Roundtable.
Always a pleasure to be here, my friend.
So let's talk a little bit about what's going on at the Y. I know what's going on because I'm there a lot these days. Thank you very much.
Yeah.
Let's talk about programming. You know what? Let's talk first about the merger. I know I've heard a lot of folk wanting to know what's going on with that, and let's give the community some insight to that whole process.
Right, absolutely. So the good news is the YMCA on the Eastern Shore is now one organization. Previously, we had some individual Ys in Dorchester County and Cecil County, and that becomes a challenge for them to sustain what they do. And then we all want to be able to speak with one voice. And so under the leadership of Robbie, our CEO, we have finally brokered that merger, and it's a powerful thing to say that we are the largest nonprofit on the Eastern Shore that is serving just about every community with some form of program or service. And so it's exciting for us.
It really is. And Robbie's such a visionary, and I've always appreciated his leadership and what he's done to grow what I think is a very important component of our community, not just in Easton, but across the Delmarva Peninsula.
Absolutely.
So, and everything is finished now?
Yes, so we are officially one Y. We have 10 locations across the Eastern Shore, 2 here in Easton. With the
that's right.
Yep, and so we purchased the cross court facility, which is now the Y at Washington.
Yes.
And so there's 10 locations across the Eastern Shore, ranging from Cecil County all the way down to Chicoutimi.
Wow, terrific. And I went to the Y in Washington for the first time the other day. It was a Sunday. My schedule allowed me to go earlier, and I'm very much appreciative. Thank you very much.
Yeah, so that's great for people in Talbot County because we have these 2 locations which are close in proximity, but they offer such a difference in what you can experience.
Absolutely.
And there's that hour differential, so it opens earlier on a Sunday than the Peach Blossom location, and so it offers that. And if you haven't gone to the Y at Washington, formerly Cross Courts, stop by. Wendy and Aaron are doing awesome work, and we got 4 indoor tennis courts and 3 outdoor clay courts, and just a wellness space, exercise space. It's perfect.
Ellipticals and treadmills and all the stuff that we have on Peach Blossom. It was terrific. Yeah. So let's talk about programming.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that moves me is that when you walk into the Y, you just see an absolute palette of members from the community, from all walks of life and all ages, shapes, and sizes. And when I'm on the elliptical these days, there's a whole group of young guys that come in. They must be like from the football team or the soccer team from the high school. It's really interesting.
It is. And to your point, the Y offers something for everyone, and that's why I work for the organization. Is it in our mission statement it says for all, and that's a powerful statement, especially in today's world. To be an organization that is for all. And so depending on when you visit, it could look one way in the morning as far as population, and then in the afternoon, high school students roll in.
Absolutely.
And we joked earlier before we started that you never know what you're going to find when you step foot in the Y. That, on Tuesday when you came by the facility, we had a boat being built out back, which I'm sure we're going to talk more about.
We'll talk more about that in a minute.
We had our kitchen in use, and kids were making apple tart back there. We had our middle school sports program, first competitive game in the gym. We had a swim meet going on in the swimming pool, and then we had people exercising. And so you can be a testament to that, with your recent success. And
thanks.
I'd like Scott. I think he should run a photo reel of you. Over the last 12 months in your journey of weight loss. You're looking great.
Well, thank you. We'll do that. We'll do that at another time. Thank you, Scott. No, it's always so busy. The programming is great. Mm-hmm. The service to the community, as you know, it's what brought me to the Y. And when I first, 10 years ago already, when I first came here.
Yeah, I always tell the story. When I first joined the Y here, Y is all I've ever known. I worked with the YMCA in Charlotte before moving here. But when I moved to Talbot County, one of the first things someone said to me was, they didn't know who I was, and they said, you need to go to the Y. You need to join the Y. And I just made a mental, I said, I'll plan to do that.
Yeah,
and I didn't introduce myself, but it's an awesome organization for our community.
Well, when I first moved here, I was in one of my exercise modes. And when I got here, somebody said the same thing to me. If you're going to continue your exercise program, you need to join the Y. I did, and I've never not had a membership in the Y for the entire time that I've been here. So,
and if I may, Rabbi,
yes,
to make sure your listeners and viewers understand, when I say for all, it's a facility that is literally for anyone that wants to join. But then we have programs that are for anyone. So you might get engaged in getting on an elliptical. You might enjoy water fitness classes. You might enjoy coming in and climbing the rock wall. And so if you can think of it and dream it, it probably happens at the Y. And so there's new classes being offered at all times, at all locations in Talbot County and across the Eastern Shore. So.
And I know that we partner with the Talbot school system.
Correct, yes.
There's a lot of stuff going on officially, informally.
Formally. We have a great MOU with them and just a shared relationship to where they come in and use our facilities when they bring in kids from the school to go swimming. We have every third grader is going to learning how to swim through a water safety program at the Y starting this Friday. And really that's a water safety program that is facilitated at the Y. Right. And then we use the schools for some of our sports programs, and we partnered in summer camps. It's an awesome relationship.
Well, I'm always glad to be a part of it. Anything we should know specifically about programming coming up that we need to make the public aware of?
Yeah, just always. We launched a new website. www.ymcachesapeake.org, so the same web address but a new website, and so I encourage you to go check out that website. It's different, so familiarize yourself with it, but it offers a lot of features. You can see real-time classes, things that are happening within our facilities. Programmatically, we have some new classes that are launching in January for group exercise, and that's a busy time of the year for us. And
absolutely,
we want people to join, but more importantly, we want them to stay. And so you got to find a partner. So before you come in to join the facility in January, find somebody that'll come in with you and that'll say, let's work out together.
Absolutely. That's on a lot of levels, that's an important thing.
Right.
Let's talk a little bit about Take the Helm.
Yeah.
And for those folk who don't know what the Take the Helm program is, it's a program where high school kids come in. We've turned an area at the Y into a woodworking shop, and we build boats.
Yes.
We don't; they do. And as the slogan says, boats build kids. Kids don't build boats.
Correct. Yes.
And that's really an important program. It's run by Adam Hollis and overseen by Adam Hollis. It's a great program. Let's. How's it going?
It's great. We built our first boat last year. We did that in a condensed time frame, and we were able to pull it off, and the boat floated.
Yes.
So that was positive. It did. And we had a great celebration out on the Tread Avon down at Evergreen Cove, where we launched that boat, and the kids got out and did some rowing. Yep. And so that was named the Inspiration, and we have launched we have not launched physically, but we've started the building process for our second boat with the full anticipation of being done early spring with another boat launch scheduled. And so we got 12 kids, high school age kids, that we're engaging in that program, and it's all about finding a way to get youth that may not know that they like to build or may just not having a connection to something, and that's our way to connect with them. And like you said, it's about building the kid and less about building the boat.
Yeah, I think it's a great program. I'm glad you had the foresight, and the Y leadership had the foresight to bring that here, because we are a water community, we're a boating community, but B, what this does, it really does speak to the needs of some of our kids that may not have the opportunity otherwise.
Absolutely, and that should truly go to the vision of Al Sykes and Richard Marks and the
Yeah,
board of
yes,
advisors,
yes.
which you sit on,
Yes.
for that group, and helping us champion that and model that after a successful story in the Bronx. And so
Oh, yeah.
we're happy to have it. And quite frankly, I would take anyone that is viewing this and love to take them back to the shop and show them the work in action.
As a matter of fact, I walked in the Y the other day, and Adam had the boat out in front, and he was sitting, and people were coming up and looking at it, and just he was engaging with folk. Very cool.
Yeah.
Anything else we need to talk about before we end this session?
Yeah, I would just say, I would end with saying what I always say, which is the Y is engaged in just a multitude of things at our facility, but also in our community. And much of what we do, it's great to be a gym and a place where people come to swim, but those are just avenues for us to continue to make a mark on our community
Right.
and do good in the world. And so in order to do those things, they all happen through our Strong Communities campaign. And this year, we have an exciting opportunity to match any contribution from any first-time donor.
That's true too.
$100 to $1,000, and this individual is matching it all the way up to $100,000 across the Eastern Shore. And so, if you've never given to the Y and you're a member, now's the year to do it.
Yep.
And so, come see me, and we'll find a way to get you plugged in.
Absolutely. And the other thing is, before this is important. The Y provides scholarships.
Correct.
Many scholarships for folk who are not able to perhaps pay the membership fee,
Correct.
and it's a remarkable thing, and it's done with real heart and real passion and commitment to the community. So
It's $1.2 million this past year in financial assistance, and that's for somebody that wants to participate and take the helm, or that's for somebody that wants to walk in the Y and says, I want to be part of a gym and I want to
Yep.
get healthy, but I can't physically do it myself, and we find a way to make it work.
Yep.
And so now with having 10 locations, we're planning for $2 million across the Eastern Shore in financial assistance. And so, a healthy Y makes a healthy community, and so
Absolutely.
we need our community members to help continue to lift up the work that we do.
Yep, and I'm glad to be a part of it. I always like it when you come to the Rabbis Roundtable. There's always stuff to talk about, and we've been talking with my friend Derek White. Derek is the executive director of the Easton YMCA, 2 locations, Washington Street and Peach Blossom,
Yeah.
and you'll be back.
I'll be back.
Thanks.
When you have me, thank you.
And Easton, we will be back momentarily. And we are back. I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman, Rabbi of Temple B'nai Israel, and we welcome you to the Rabbis Roundtable, coming to you from the studios of MCTV in the basement of the Avalon. I want to just do a brief introduction as we prepare to meet our next guest. Over the next several weeks, and perhaps even months, we will be having at the Rabbis Roundtable individuals that are running for political office. I think personally it's important for the community to meet these people, to hear them express their views and their positions on the myriad of issues that are facing us. Their presence at the Rabbis Roundtable, while important, does not mean that I endorse any given candidate or that MCTV or the Avalon endorses any specific candidate. So, with that as background, let me take the opportunity with great delight and pleasure to introduce to you Jesse Colvin. Jesse is running for Congress from the 1st District of Maryland, and we are delighted to have you at the Rabbis Roundtable.
Thank you, Rabbi. Thanks for having me.
My pleasure. Let me just give you a little bit of Jesse's background. Among other things, first, he's a Duke University graduate. Very impressive, by the way, it is. I told you that my nephew is a Duke graduate. And he holds a Master's of International Affairs from Columbia University. He served for 6 years in the U.S. Army as an intelligence officer. This is impressive. He completed 4 combat deployments to Afghanistan and a year of forward stationed service near the DMZ, the Demilitarized Zone in South Korea, as the sole intelligence officer for an infantry unit. He's a graduate of the U.S. Army's Ranger Course, which, as many of you know, is the premier leadership school in the military. He served in the 75th Ranger Regiment. The Army Rangers, as you know, they lead, they play key roles throughout the Special Ops forces. Jesse says, I'm lucky to have served and led with men and women of this caliber. I would agree with you, and we thank you for your service, and I am impressed by all of this. I can only imagine, we won't talk about this, but given all that's going on with Korea and North and South, you must have some real insight to this that we'll talk about another time. Anyway, so let's talk about your campaign.
Sure.
Give us a little bit about your background. I know that you grew up in Baltimore. Tell us about your family, and then I'll ask you, why did you decide to run for Congress?
Sure. First off, thanks again for having me.
My pleasure. Glad.
My family showed up in Maryland as immigrants in 1899,
Wow.
turn of the century. Typical immigrant story. My great-great-grandfather came from Port of Baltimore. My mom's family name is an Ellis Island name.
Really?
We don't really know the origin.
Interesting.
And he worked at what became Bethlehem Steel, and then a generation later, he was a small business owner. At the height of that company, my the business employed about 150 Marylanders.
Wow.
And my mom is a judge in Baltimore, and my dad is the supervising attorney for the appellate division in
Really?
the Office of the Public Defender in the state of Maryland. We need to get him a shorter title.
Wow.
But my parents are dedicated public servants, and
Very nice. So this is part of your family culture, and you're just stepping up the next step.
my parents are they're not big talkers; they're big on action.
Yeah.
So I don't remember a lot of conversations at home around this is why you do public service. They just went out and did it.
Yeah.
My mom would just docket after docket, day after day.
Wow. Yeah.
My dad's as an appellate in the appellate division. Most of his cases, he knew he was going to lose before it got started, but
Really?
he believes in the system, and he believes everybody deserves free and fair and quality representation. So that's some of those
Wow.
lessons I got at the kitchen table.
Wow. Very cool. And your motivation to enlist.
Mm.
I think there's a link between that and 9/11.
There is.
Tell us about that. That's interesting.
So 9/11 occurred. I was a senior in high school,
Mm-hmm.
and I think, like a lot of 17-year-olds who reacted to the Pearl Harbor attack or the Kennedy
Mhm.
inaugural speech, I felt a gravitational pull, a generational challenge. So that changed my life. I had the Marine recruiters on the phone that week. It was the first of many heart attacks for my parents. And I ended up, my first goal was to understand the attack and understand the region. I sensed that my generation would be in the Middle East for a long time. So I ended up at Duke. I try not to tell people that I went to Duke. I studied Arabic in the Middle East. I went to Egypt for a semester abroad. And then I graduated and I went to Syria. Like every nice Jewish kid from Baltimore, I said, Mom and Dad,
So funny.
I'm buying a one-way plane ticket to Damascus. And I was teaching English to Iraqi refugees.
Good for you. Wow.
And that taught me, you could tell the war was going really poorly. This was 2006, so the war in Iraq was at its low point, and we were losing. And I was teaching refugees who had to flee that country, and some of them had served. They really did not like our federal government, the Bush administration, but they had served as interpreters for our troops and service members and diplomats, and they really respected the guys on the ground. And I came home and I said to myself, we're losing, but we're committed, and Uncle Sam needs good men and women. And I've got these cultural skills and language skills. I gotta serve. So that's how I ended up in the Army.
Are you fluent in Arabic?
At one point I was pretty good. Now it's the Army, so the Army being the Army, I come in with my Arabic skills and they send me to Korea. That was the first place.
Oh, that makes perfect sense.
Sure.
Thank you very much.
Yeah.
No, I'm very impressed. We'll talk more off camera. I actually think Arabic's the hardest language I've ever tried to deal with. So.
It's difficult.
Yes, and I'm a big fan of Arabic, and you saw my office and my prayer rug and all that. So, so let's talk a little bit about your vision, what you think are the major issues, and how to respond to that.
Well, I should. Let me tell you why I'm running. I'm
Yes.
running. I'm angry. I am angry that our country is being run in some ways like a stolen car. And I think there are far too many members of Congress for whom the hardest thing they've ever done is the campaign that got them there. a lot of career politicians who put their careers first or the partisan agenda of the day first, and I think we need a new generation, whether you come from a military background or not, who cares about putting the values of people first and the interests of the country first. And I owe my family a lot to the state of Maryland. We came here as immigrants, and we've stayed, and I got a chance to serve my country, and I look forward to the opportunity to serve the people of the state and the country again.
It's noble, absolutely. What are you hearing as you go around the district? What are the major issues that people say, hey, if you're going to do this, I want you to look at whatever? What's the whatever?
There's several whatevers.
Yeah, okay.
There's frustration across both sides of the aisle.
Yeah.
Frustration that congressmen are putting their own interests and their own careers first. Healthcare is a huge issue. This is across the aisle. People, whether you agree that the ACA is a perfect plan or not, the idea that it would be stripped away with no backup plan scares people. Opioids comes up every day. People are really concerned. If it hasn't hit their immediate family, everybody knows somebody whose family's been affected.
That's true.
And everybody's worried about the Bay. There's folks who really care about the ecological health of the Bay, and there are folks who really care about the jobs that are dependent on the health of the Bay.
Yes.
And so regardless of how you get to it, everybody cares about the Bay. So I hear that all the time.
I had that discussion with somebody this morning before I came over here. You're absolutely correct. Absolutely. Because the health of the Bay ultimately impacts our health.
Correct.
I believe that deeply. So, and the opioid epidemic, a couple of weeks, on the last show or whenever the last taping was, Sheriff Joe Gamble, who's a friend, was on talking about the opioid crisis. It is stunning. And you're right, there's nobody in the community who is not affected on some level, either directly or indirectly. So, yes, I'm glad to hear that's out there and you're dealing with it.
We have the purple sticker from the
Right,
Mountain Talbot on my campaign manager's car.
Good.
We're shutting the campaign down for a day in a couple of weeks, just to dedicate at a minimum a full day of research to put together a platform. There's some good ideas that are out there that are working.
Yeah.
We're going to meet with everybody across the spectrums, from law enforcement, like the sheriff, Johns Hopkins researchers, a nurse practitioner on the ground, somebody from the White House Office of Drug Policy.
Oh, cool.
There's some good ideas happening in Wycomico County. There's some good ideas happening across the country in Vermont, for example. It just takes political will, and it takes just some elbow grease.
And some political courage, because I
courage.
know the pharmaceutical industry it's a giant.
It is.
So,
but I come to this topic, it has not touched my family directly, but as a veteran, my wife runs a veteran service organization that helps prevent veteran suicide.
oh, wow.
I have been to some funerals and been in some room with some guys. They go to the VA, they get a bottle full of pills, they say come back in 3 months.
Right.
As you can imagine, it causes issues.
Yes.
And there are good ideas out there, it just takes a little bit of will and, like you said, a little bit of courage.
Yes. So speaking of your wife,
Sure.
you are an expectant father.
I am.
Number one.
Number one.
Very cool.
Thank you.
You're as I've been told, you and your wife don't necessarily share same political orientation.
Oh, yeah, so I'm a Democrat.
Yeah.
I'm a proud Democrat. She's a Republican.
Very good. But things obviously are getting along well.
Oh, people always ask. I get in trouble at home probably the same way you get in trouble at home.
Yeah.
It's wet towels on the floor. Why haven't you taken the trash out? It's not, let's talk about the federal tax code.
Yeah, well.
We my wife and I both believe very strongly in service to our community. She's a former police officer.
Interesting.
And we also we've seen enough of life's ups and particularly downs to understand, similar to the opioid conversation, everybody's going through something.
Yep.
And rather than argue
Yep.
about the silly issue of the day,
Yep.
let's help some people.
What insights have you gained from your time on the political trail?
There's a disconnect. People feel... I hear a couple things. So I hear Washington used to be civil.
Yeah.
Democrats and Republicans used to go get a drink after work. Then it got toxic.
Yeah.
but it stayed in Washington, but now it's come home. So my friends, neighbors, colleagues of 30 years, we don't even talk politics anymore. That's one. The second thing I hear is it's a sentiment around I've stopped hoping, or I've given up on hope that my issues that I deal with that impact my family are going to be solved by Congress. And that's really depressing. And that's what's got to change.
Oh, that's very interesting. Yeah, very interesting. And election day is?
The primary is June 26th.
June 26th. We have been speaking with Jesse Colvin. Jesse, as I said, is running for Congress from the 1st District. Thank you for coming to the Rabbis Roundtable. Next time you're through, we'll be glad to have you back. I wish you good luck.
Thank you, Rabbi.
And I appreciate your candor and your insights. Very informative. So, Jess, thank you very much. Easton, we will have other folk at the Rabbis Roundtable to share their views and opinions and give us the opportunity to learn from their wisdom and experience. You've been seated at the Rabbis Roundtable. I'm Rabbi Peter Hyman. I'm appreciative to the staff and to the professionals at MCTV for all the good that they get to do and giving me a. Can we take that over again?
Just keep going.
Okay. I'm appreciative to the staff and the good people at MCTV. We will see you next time at the Rabbis Roundtable.